Welcome to Leadership Perspectives Nantucket. Today we're joined by Bob Reynolds. Bob, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, my pleasure.
Bob is CEO and president of Putnam Investments.
Correct.
One of our fine local firms.
President and CEO of Great West Financial in Denver also.
Okay.
So I'm diversified.
Yeah, a couple of roles you have. That's always interesting and challenging, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So one of our viewers and our listeners love to know, like, what is your Nantucket story? What's your connection to the island?
Well, my wife and I came out here when we were dating about 28 years ago, and just fell in love with the island. And shortly thereafter, we were married and then bought a house on Orange Street and then moved to Hinckley, and now we live on Heather Lane.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
you've moved around the island?
Yeah.
And have been involved in, what type of things are you involved with on the island?
Primarily been involved with the hospital quite a bit, Nantucket Cottage Hospital. We've been involved in the Boys and Girls Clubs. And we live in Boston, Concord, Massachusetts, when we're not here. I work in Boston. So you're very involved in Boston if you're on Nantucket.
Yeah.
Because different charities do have events over here. And in fact, we hosted the American Ireland Fund at our house 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that must have been fun.
It's fun. It was a rainy day, so
Yeah.
we had 150 people inside our house. It was a little
That's great.
tight, but it was fun.
But it worked.
Yeah.
That's fun. Well, getting a bunch of Irish together on a rainy day, that sounds fun.
Everyone thought we were in Ireland.
That's right. They could
So,
relate.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. What about some other charities that you're involved? You mentioned the hospital. You mentioned the Boys and Girls Club. Are there other charities you're involved with as well?
Oh, gosh. Dana-Farber. I'm on the board there. I'm on the President's Council at Mass General, which has affiliation with Nantucket Cottage Hospital, Boys and Girls Club.
That's
My wife's
great.
on the board there. My wife's on the board of the hospital here. So we keep pretty busy as it relates to charities.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to be involved in the community you live in and try to stay pretty involved.
Well, you're certainly a good role model for that. So thank you for all that support and the different charities you have. I think it's really remarkable and such an impact that summer residents have on the island. So thank you.
It's a great island.
Exciting times at the hospital, too.
Very, very. I think, we just crossed $100 million raised, and now that does complete the hospital, but we're now trying to raise money for housing. Housing, as most people over here know, is a challenge, and to get nurses and doctors here, especially for the summer, to have housing for them would be a terrific advantage.
It's part of the attraction.
Yes.
It's the island, a good working environment in the new hospital, but they need an affordable place to stay.
Yeah.
So it's part of the mix.
Yes.
Well, that's great. So what about shifting to your kind of professional role? So you mentioned you have two roles
Correct.
at Putnam and with Great Western. Now, how does that work, and kind of what do you actually do?
Well, Putnam Investments is a mutual fund company. Is it an asset manager? We also manage large amounts of or large pools of capital for institutions around the world. So that's Putnam. And then in Denver, Great West Financial, there is Empower, which is the second largest retirement record keeper in the country. We have an insurance business out there, and we also have an investment company out there.
Okay. So are they distinctly separate organizations?
Yeah, they're
both
separate. We share some things in common. We have the same parent.
Okay.
So I run what's called Great West Lifeco US, which includes Great West Financial and Putnam Investments.
Okay. That's good. So with two roles, we talk about, being authentic, how do you as a leader make sure you're coming across as, honest with your people? I would imagine having two distinctly, different roles, that can be a challenge. But what are some of the ways that you practice being authentic?
I think the key to managing businesses and managing them well is having great people with you. And that's one thing I've always tried to do, is hire the best people possible. And certainly They are challenged and fired up every day, and so that makes my job a lot easier. And I spend a lot of time talking to them almost every day. Mm-hmm. The leadership's team, always available, and always available to anyone in the company.
So open door,
Totally
accessible.
open door, totally meet with anyone.
Yeah, good.
I just think it's so important to have that type of visibility, but that type of connection with different people in the company. I also, like on a monthly basis, get 20 to 25 people who I wouldn't necessarily come in contact every day, but sit down with them and just give a short talk about what's going on in the company, but to hear from them, what's on their mind, what are they thinking about. And to me, it just, again, gets the same message out to people all over the company, and I think it's extremely important.
That's a great idea. So it's 25 people, rank and file, or from anywhere
Rank
in
and
the
file,
organization.
operations, could be people
Yeah.
on the phones, every part of the company.
Do they, I mean, I would imagine all sorts of topics come up, and it must be wonderful for them to spend time with you, their CEO. Are there things that come up around like culture and leadership that kind of ever surprise you, or is it mostly process and we need to, change this in order to serve our customers better?
Well, it's interesting. Out in Denver and Great West Financial, there's 5,000 people. Putnam has about 1,800 people. So
Right.
when you have that amount of people, they're hearing different things. And
Sure.
I'm always surprised it's the different rumors around. But I think talking to them and letting them know totally what's going on in the company, being very transparent on everything going on is the way you lead a company.
Yeah, that's true. So surrounding yourself with great people, hiring good people, who are some of the key people that you really rely on to do your, kind of dual role effectively?
Well, head of, Putnam was a money manager, so having the right leadership in investment management. We have Aaron Cooper heading up equities, Bill Coley heading up fixed income, Rob Schoen heading up global asset allocation, and then Brian Lenhart is like chief operating officer of the investment group. So they're all talented people, do a great job of hiring people, and again, try to encourage them to do a lot of communication, and it's all about transparency with your people.
Yeah, that is very, very true. The other question we have related to people. So who are some of the key people in your life that helped shape you, not only as a person, Bob, but also as a leader?
Yeah, I've I think benefited in some ways blessed by working from terrific people in American business. Early in my career, I worked at NCNB, North Carolina National Bank, and it was led by Hugh McCall, who is truly one of the great leaders, ex-Marine, was always with the people in the company. And then when I moved to Boston, I went to work for Fidelity, and I had the pleasure and quite frankly, the honor of working for Ned Johnson for over 10 years directly.
Wow.
In fact, the last 7, I was vice chairman in the office next to him, running the company. And Ned is a visionary, he's playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers.
That's right.
And
That's a great
he's
way to
just
put it.
a terrific leader, and I've learned so much about running a company and organization and just all about leadership.
Yeah.
Fidelity was unique in that Ned believed, it was a strong belief of his that you must divide big businesses into smaller businesses. And so 401k was just getting going in the country.
Yeah, right.
And he approached me and says, I think it looks like a good opportunity. You never know for sure. Would you start that business at Fidelity?
Yep.
And so I had to go out and hire my own CFO, own head of HR, and built a business. Now, had some, as I mentioned earlier, had some great people with me on that journey, but it became the largest retirement provider in the United States, and still is, and it's had a remarkable impact on Fidelity. But I think that experience above anything else I've done in my career taught me so much about, building your own business, hiring the right people, communicate,
Yeah.
and it was a tremendous experience.
And it sounds like you were an entrepreneur, but well within a large structure.
Yeah.
They call it intrapreneurs, right?
Yeah, I think at Fidelity, when I was vice chairman, we probably had 50 presidents, 60 presidents,
Right.
and they all ran a business. So you had people coming to work every day where 100% of their effort and time was focused on one target.
Yeah.
And it just worked. That's all I can say. It truly worked.
Well, you saying that just reminded me. I understand like Ned was frustrated with the Boston taxi situation long ago. So
Yes.
he started Boston Coach. Then I also heard another story, maybe tell me if this is true, that he couldn't get good tomatoes anywhere at his market. So he started a tomato company up in Maine.
Yeah, it was one of the largest, what do they call hydroponic?
Hydroponic, I think. Yeah.
And he started it, and it turned out to be a tremendous business.
Yeah. So he's got a good nose.
He does. It'll surprise you.
Yeah.
He bought an art gallery and made it a chain. Worth magazine started. I mean, it's an incredible entrepreneurial legend. He is.
So I can imagine you learned a lot from him and working from him.
Yeah, I was at Fidelity for 24 years, and I'd say every day was school.
Yeah,
You learn something every day.
Yeah, that's exciting, especially if you're a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be. Do you try to kind of bring in some of those traits into Putnam as well, entrepreneurial and lifelong learning?
Getting people focused on a particular business that's very important to us, and taking that and pay for performance. Everyone is, if you perform, you're going to get paid. And it creates a real meritocracy, which I think is critical to success in business. So a lot of what I learned at Fidelity, I've applied at Putnam. I've applied the same thing at Great West Financial. And it's a great way to me to run a business and to succeed.
That's great. Well, we're going to take a short break. This is Leadership Perspectives Nantucket. Today we're joined by Bob Reynolds, CEO and President of Putnam and Great West. We'll be right back.
Our goal was we wanted to work with people that we loved. We wanted to make a difference. We wanted to see if we could walk our talk, live what we said, and we wanted to have fun.
My father, who was fundamentally a philosopher more than anything, and the philosophy that he's been talking about for many, many years, is that if you create a clear vision and if you take care of your people, phenomenal things happen.
We talk about the words leading at a higher level. I think that's really the essence of what we are about. We want others to also lead at the highest level possible.
People want to be the kind of companies that Ken Blanchard writes about. So our job is take that information, put it into practical learnings, and work with companies to make companies more valuable from a personnel and intrinsic perspective.
Welcome back to Leadership Perspectives Nantucket. Today we're joined by Bob Reynolds. Bob, thanks again for being on the show. let's talk about key events, kind of key experiences in your life that helped shape you as a leader. Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I had an interesting experiences, plural. I officiated college football and college basketball.
Wow.
And it's a leadership because I was the referee in football, and in basketball, you're blowing your whistle the whole game. And you have the coaches, players, fans, and it was a tremendous experience where you never get rattled. So you're always in the moment. And that led to, back in 2006, I was the finalist for NFL commissioner. And they selected Roger Goodell. But to me, that whole experience, they started with 200 people, took it down to 20, down to 11, down to 5, and, made the final cut. But it was interesting meeting the owners and to go through that process.
Well, I hope you throw your name in again.
I don't think so.
I mean, Roger's doing a good job, but I bet you at times, most recently, you're probably thinking like, "Ooh, I'm glad I didn't take that job."
Everyone handles things in a different way, so I can't second guess. But.
Right, of course. Yeah, I was just actually at the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and that is really a moving experience. To see athletes, top of their game, and then talk about what they learned.
Yeah, I've been to Canton, Ohio. It is an experience everyone should do.
Well, and they're transforming that place. It's an amazing project. So that's good. Well, it's interesting about being a basketball referee as opposed to a coach, because you just made me think about, you are controlling the flow of the game. You're in control, and there's a lot of leadership lessons there. I never thought about that from the referee perspective, especially for basketball. Maybe the same for football, but you really have a more of a team working with you, controlling the game, which you need. But with five or 10 people or athletes on the floor, and you're directing traffic and directing the plays, and
you're close to everyone.
Yeah, just like your role now.
Yeah,
right.
And you have to communicate.
Yeah,
I mean, you really do. Especially like I worked the state finals in North Carolina, and when I lived there.
Yeah,
and it's just an intense environment.
Yeah,
and it means so much to the players, the coaches, and the fans. So. Every call is important, but to maintain a calm demeanor and coach.
Yeah,
we were we have it here. Okay,
right.
So it was I look at it as a great business experience, leadership.
Yeah, well, that's true, and I think more people like that need to be involved. That in athletics and supporting local athletics, just like you are with the Boys and Girls Club, because a good ref makes the game. A bad ref, spoils the game, right?
Yeah. Sometimes they try to be the game, and they're just the refs that you don't notice are the best refs.
Yeah, you're right. That's right. They're just part of the game.
I had another experience. I'm on the board of the U.S. ski and snowboard teams. So I've been to several Olympics and seen the price that they pay. For once every 4 years, and it doesn't always turn out the way they want, but the sacrifices that go into that sport are enormous.
That's true. The commitment, the hard work. So what about other turning points in your life? So it sounds like moving from Fidelity to Putnam was a turning point. Were there any others that you could share with us?
Well, I grew up in West Virginia, and to me, it was a great childhood and had great parents, which I owe a tremendous amount to. My father's no longer with us, but mother's still alive. And I think growing up in West Virginia taught me a lot about life and hard work and what it takes to succeed. And I look back on those days fondly. In fact, I'm still involved with West Virginia University. I'm on the board. I'm co-head of the Capital campaign, and which comes to an end at the end of this year. But it's part of giving back to someplace I really care about.
Is that where you went to college?
Yes.
Oh, great. That's good to stay involved.
Very.
And were you involved in the football program there? Is that where you were refereeing or?
No, I did not. I
conference?
didn't start officiating until I graduated from WVU, moved to Charlotte, Hickory, Charlotte area
Okay.
in North Carolina, and to work for North Carolina National Bank. And while I was there, didn't know very many people, but met someone that was officiating and said, you should start officiating. You meet some great people.
Yeah.
So that's how I started. And
Great way to be a fan.
Yeah.
You're right on the floor.
yeah, first when someone asks you that, you go, I don't want to be an official. I mean, but it turned out to be just a fun and a great experience.
So is your mom still in West Virginia? Or?
She is.
That's great.
She is. She's in Morgantown, where West Virginia University is. So
Yeah.
it's always fun. I go back for board meetings and
Yeah.
get to see her.
That's
So,
great. That's a good deal.
Yeah.
So if we were to kind of pull it all down, key people, key events, key experiences, like if you could boil that down into some of your beliefs and values, what are some words that come to mind?
Honesty, transparent, communicate, as I said before, focus on the goal. I believe very much in a meritocracy, that people who want to perform love that environment and succeed in that environment. So it's all comes together in all facets of life.
Yeah.
I have 4 children, and you have a lot of leadership skills raising 4 children.
That's true. And that's where it really matters,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And you get feedback for free.
Yeah, that feedback loop is constant when it comes to family.
Yeah.
So that's great. So as you look out, what's next for you, Bob? What's on the horizon?
Well, I'm very excited. This in September, I have a book coming out. It's called From Here to Security, and it's about America's retirement system. And I've spent most of my career in that side of the business, and I think it's a story that needs to be told, that the system does work if people take advantage of it. The day where you spent 35 years at a company and a pension worked for you, that's not America anymore.
No.
The average American has 12 to 14 jobs in their career, so it's up to them personally to save for retirement, and workplace savings allows you to do it through payroll deduction. Many companies have matches, and if you participate at the right level, and that's 10% plus, and invest the right way, and there are target date funds now that are age appropriate for you, you'll have more than 100% income replacement at retirement.
Right.
So to me, it's take advantage of the system. It does work, but the book goes into that in great detail, and I'm very proud of that.
Well, I love that title. That's very catchy.
Yeah, where's Burt Lancaster when you need him?
Exactly. So what's the plan? You're going to do a book tour, a book promotion, or?
We are. The book comes out in mid-September, and we're going to do events in Boston, New York, Washington, because it's heavy in policy, ways to make the system even better, and touches on Social Security, which is an important part of most people's retirement. So we're going to go to those 3 cities and then see where it goes from there.
Well, it's certainly a timely topic, because everybody, struggles to save, and to save for retirement and college is a challenge for the middle class, for sure.
Yeah, especially, there's talk of comprehensive tax reform. Mm-hmm. And every time that is discussed, retirement becomes I don't want to call it a piñata, but it's an easy thing to, let's borrow from retirement to fund some other things. And I think being active in the industry at all, I think having a voice in Washington is critical at this point, because tax reform is going to happen. That's my belief. And we got to make sure retirement, because it benefits everyone, benefits the economy, because the money that's being saved is going into capital markets, fixed income equities, et cetera. It helps the growth story that this country needs so bad. So we're working very hard to make sure retirement has its place in the U.S. tax system, that's for sure.
Well, I think on the moral stage, if people have retirement or they're feeling secure about their finances, they're going to give back to the community more.
Yeah. And it's a human dignity thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we want our elderly in this country to have successful retirements. And to do that, yes, Social Security helps, but they need to save on their own. Social Security by itself is 45% income replacement, so they have to do it through personal savings, and that's what the whole system is geared to do.
Well, my boss, Ken Blanchard, wrote a book called Refire, and it's all about what do you do when you retire?
Yeah.
And his message is you've got to move from success to significance, but the success, you got to have the money, in order to give back and support the things that you believe in. And
Absolutely.
so I think that's why it's so important in the Nantucket community to have summer residents such as yourself, because you do give back. But I think it's, you got to have that foundation to work off of first.
Yes,
So,
without a doubt.
well, thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure.
This has been
and
great.
Thank you very much. It's love Nantucket and love the people in Nantucket. So it's great being on the show.
Well, thanks again, and enjoy your day.
Thank you.
This is Leadership Perspectives Nantucket, and thanks for tuning in.